Welcome to Sparks 1524. I'm Nathaniel Miller, coming to you once again from my secret bunker in Niceville, Florida. The pen is mightier than the sword, as the saying goes, but if it takes a blade-wielding warrior years to learn how to deploy this weapon, either in combat or competition, how much longer does it take to learn how to wield this, if its power is even greater? Now, last time we were talking about the very first step in starting writing, which in my opinion is figuring out what you want to write about. That doesn't mean you can't practice writing while you're in that step. Writing is hard work. Anybody who's done it, either be it for a corporate evaluation of a product or a personnel review to trying to write a novel. My career was spent writing. I had 20 years in the Navy in one form or another to practice writing. What do you do, though, if you want to be a writer and you love writing, but you're in a career field that doesn't require writing all the time? In the modern world, there's actually a lot of ways you can do it. We all write emails today. We all text. Well, most of us do. It might seem like a small thing, but if you take the time when you're writing your emails or even writing a text on your phone to use proper grammar, complete sentences, in email, let the spell check and the grammar check help you out. That's actually practicing writing. That's practicing the mechanical part, the part that is, well, one of the parts that's so hard. If you remember the movie The Karate Kid, 1984, I believe, Mr. Miyagi, early in the movie, after he agrees to teach Daniel karate, starts having Daniel do a lot of seemingly menial tasks. Painting the fence with an up and down motion. The most famous is wax on, wax off. While he was actually getting Daniel to kind of pay him back for the lessons he was about to impart, he was also teaching Daniel. Those meaningless tasks, menial tasks, were actually teaching muscle memory. The wax on, wax off was the basic movement Daniel was going to need for a number of blocks. If you practice writing in the little ways, even a text message on your phone, over time, that builds up the muscle memory for thinking in complete sentences, active voice, proper grammar, etc. ad nauseum. That's one way to practice. Little things like that. My blog, Sparks 1524, that gives me a chance to write when I'm not working on a novel. It also allows me to continue writing in other areas besides fiction. So that's another way I practice, in addition to the fact that I have things I want to share. Blogging may not be for you. Maybe you prefer the old-fashioned, grab the pen, get a notebook, and you do it longhand. That's fine. It doesn't matter how you practice, it just matters that you got to do it. Another good analogy, besides a swordsman, of course, is a musician. I don't know anybody who doesn't sit enthralled when they hear a great piece of music. Whatever the genre is, classical to punk rock, grunge to pop, it doesn't matter. We see a singer or a musician who can just spin these incredible melodies out of seemingly nowhere. They actually make it look very easy in a way, but that's because they practiced this art for a year. As much as there's a mechanical part to playing, and if you've ever trained on guitar, just that's a simple one, there's a lot of mechanics to strumming and fretting. And I tried to learn the guitar a long time ago, and I fretted over it so much because it took me a solid year to realize my hands are not built to play a guitar. But that's a story for another time. Any art takes a long time to practice. Very rarely is there a Mozart who just springs out the gate fully formed. Most of us have to practice. Even if you, like me, actually do have a real talent for that art, talent only takes you so far. Practice takes that talent and hones it into a skill that leaves you capable of creating art. If you play a long game, and being a writer is a long game, little everyday things can be that practice. Now, practicing by yourself will only get you so far. On this blog, be it my video version here or the written blog, I have to edit myself. Fortunately, I trained as an editor in the military, and when it comes to journalism, which I consider the blogging, I'm really good at that. I don't believe in false modesty. I know where I'm good, but I know where I'm not. Journalism editing, I'm pretty good at. Editing my own fiction, I'm okay, but I can't do it. That's why my books I submit to my friend Jerry, who is a very brutally honest and effective editor. That's the hardest part about writing right there, is submitting your work to the court of public opinion, be it an editor who's going to help you out or releasing it to the world. You're always going to find somebody who doesn't like what you do. If they're just a critic, they're going to tell you what's wrong and leave it at that. If they're a coach, they'll tell you what's wrong, they'll also tell you what's right, and how to get both what's wrong and what's right to a better place. There's a point where you've got to have a certain level of thick skin. There are going to be people out there who look at your work and laugh. Oh my God, that's awful. You think you're so good. Oh, You just got to deal with it. Some people are out to hurt other people. Some people just don't know how to communicate. People are going to say nasty things. If you're in the public arena, you've got to develop a certain thick skin. You got to find somebody who can be a coach. It's not easy. Both finding a good coach, but also learning that thick skin. Because when my friend Jerry tells me something, now he's not being cruel, but my ego is still at stake. And as soon as Jerry tells me he doesn't like something, my first instinct is to, oh no, I got to fight back. Becoming a good writer does involve a certain level of humility, and that's not easy for any of us, but it is possible. Practicing writing does not have to be a chore. It is something you can do every day, even if you don't know what you want to write about long term. Pick something that day or that evening and just do a couple of paragraphs. Maybe pick a topic. I want to write about the color red, and just practice a few sentences on describing things that are red. Small things like that. Next part of this series, we'll be going into character development, and then after that, part 4, which will wrap up this series in the writer's craft, will be about publishing. So remember, we all love watching well, not all of us, but most of us love watching sword movies where we see weapons like this wielded with skill. Such skill that it's almost like watching a dance between the combatants. It took them years to do this. Even actors in the movies who play these things out take months of training just in those specific moves to carry it off and as an art. Wielding this takes just as much time, just as much practice, if not more, but the results are well worth it, because this lets you leave something behind that'll go into future generations. So, until next time, have a great day, figure out ways to practice writing, and always go and do some great things.